What's up, everyone? I'm Sergeant First Class Justin Morelli coming at you live with another episode of Trivia Tuesday. I can't thank you enough for all showing up today. So far we have 12 players already logged on. I'm looking forward to seeing what all of you know. Today's questions are going to be quite challenging, so I'm looking forward to seeing how we fare and seeing how everyone does. So yeah, a lot to fill you in on since last week. Babs was the winner, and she has a $20 Amazon gift card in the mail coming her way. Hoya Kane came in second place, and she has a $15 Amazon gift card in the mail on the way to her house at this time as well. So thank you to everyone that joined us last week. The prizes still stand for this week as well. So first place will take 20, second place will take 15, and third place will take an honorable mention gift, which is also very special. So for all of you that are just joining in for the first time today, I am Sergeant First Class Justin Morelli. I'm with the United States Army Recruiting Battalion in New England, and I'm originally from New England. So bringing trivia to you about this area, about the Army, and about the birth of our great country, you know, American history and the American Revolution is all very near and dear to my heart. So for those of you that don't know, I am a 25 Zulu now, being that I've been promoted in the last week and a half, and that is a visual information chief. So previously I was a 25 Victor, better known as a combat camera operator, and as I've said before in the past, the Army has paid me to travel around the world, jump out of airplanes, rappel out of helicopters, take pictures and make movies, and I love what I do. So now as a visual information chief, my job has not changed too much. I just have a bit more responsibility. And here at Army New England, we are doing things to keep you all engaged during this time where we're all staying at home and sheltering in place. And I wanted to continue this tradition that we started 6 weeks ago now with Trivia Tuesday. So once again, can't thank you enough for all coming on to play. It is 13 players so far. And what is the time? What are we looking at here? All right, I think it's almost time to get started. Let's just see if there's any more stragglers. I'll give you about 30 more seconds to log on to Kahoot.it. If you don't make it onto Kahoot.it, that's not a problem. You don't have to play for money. You can always just follow along and listen to the YouTube stream because you're bound to learn something. And you know, as I say always, if you don't know all the answers, that's fine. That's part of the fun. You're going to learn as you go. A lot of these questions are challenging. They are going to be difficult, but it's part of the process. You know, you're going to learn things that you probably never knew about the area that you are from. So something to be you know, proud of, being from this area, and I am going to deliver that and give that all to you this week. So with that being said, as always, integrity is one of the Army values, so don't, as tempting as it may be, don't use Google and don't cheat when you're looking up the answers. You know, just take a stab at it. You have 60 seconds to answer each question, and it is multiple choice, so if you don't know for certain, just take a guess, and it will be fun. So, all right, let's get started. So I think it's about time. Let's look at that first question. And 3, 2, and 1. So, this former New Hampshire Ranger and frontiersman was the last soldier killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Was it A, Dr. Joseph Warren, B, John Goff, C, Andrew McCleary, or D, Thomas Gage? We got 4 answers in so far. Don't forget, the faster that you answer, the more points you get. So the sooner that you can get the answer in, the higher your point score will be. And if you've just joined us for the first time tonight, you will learn as you go that it is a fast and furious type of trivia. But that's what makes it fun. So we got about 25 seconds remaining, and we got 14 answers in. That means because Kahoot hasn't automatically tripped over to the correct answer yet, that means there's still a couple stragglers out there. So let's go ahead and get those last couple answers in. We got 10 seconds remaining. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, that is it. So we got 3 with the correct answer, and the correct answer is Andrew McCleary. Andrew McCleary was from Londonderry, New Hampshire. He was a prominent New Hampshire resident, a prominent New Hampshire native. His family has done tremendous things all throughout the state. They actually owned a small tavern in Londonderry, and they hosted all of the local town meetings. So Andrew McCleary was a frontiersman, as I said. He served in Rogers Rangers, so Robert Rogers was also another native of New Hampshire, and kind of the father, the founder of what we now consider the U.S. Army Rangers. McCleary was one of his soldiers, and so he was very familiar with how to survive in New England. But unfortunately, at the Battle of Bunker Hill, he survived the entire battle, and when he went back after the battle had commenced and was finished, he was unfortunately killed by a reconnaissance element left behind by the British. So, still great guy, and someone that New Hampshire should be proud of. So, let's move on to the leaderboard and check it out, see how people are doing. So we got Army Mom in first place with 818 points. Hoya Kane right behind with 786. Hoya Kane came in second last week, so I got a feeling she's not going to do as well this week, but we'll see. Rain Man coming in at third, and we got Nicole, Miss H, and Reiko coming in right behind with 0 points, but not to worry. You guys have plenty of time to recover, so I'm not too worried. As I said, get those answers in as quick as you can. You either know it or you don't. If you don't, then take a stab at it and let's just have some fun with it. So, moving on to the next question. Let's see how we do. All right, Ralph Waldo Emerson described the historic events at this significant location as the shot heard round the world. Was it A, Lexington Green, B, the Old State House, C, Barrett's Farm, or D, the Old North Bridge? So we got 8 answers in so far. People are pretty quick on this. We got 10 answers in so far, 12, okay? So we're moving fairly quickly. Now sometimes I will give you a little hint that there are occasionally hints within the pictures, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes those pictures are put there specifically to maybe throw you off just a little bit too. So be cautious. Don't always just go with what you see in the picture. But sometimes it works. So we have 15 seconds remaining, and we got 14 answers in. I think we're ready to move on. So let's see how we did here and see who's leading the leaderboard. So we got 4 correct answers with the Old North Bridge. Good job, everyone. So a lot of people did pick Lexington Green, and the Lexington Green actually was not the first major skirmish. So it was really at the Old North Bridge where things kicked off, and what ended up happening there was it was really the first time as the British approached the colonials, and they came across what we now consider to be the Continental Army. It was more or less Massachusetts militiamen, and they squared off for the first time face to face, and the militiamen actually formed a formation, and the British were not expecting that. Now, that style of fighting, in certain battles did last throughout the war, but more often than not, we also use quite a few guerrilla tactics as well to be successful against the British, because they were such a stronger and larger and more well-funded army than we were. So, but yes, the Old North Bridge, if you ever have a chance to go down there and check it out, it's a great area. And a lot of history right there. So let's check out that leaderboard, see how people are doing. All right, Army Mom drops down, but we got Rain Man coming up in first place. So he's got 1,700 points. He took quite a jump. Death Star is right behind at number 2. We got Elizabeth in third place. Great job, Elizabeth. You're doing excellent. Jen, you were in 4th, and Army Mom drops down to 5th. So looks like she didn't even actually answer on this last one. So let's hope that she can get those answers in, and let's keep it going. So on to the next question. All right, this public house located in Boston's North End was once a secret meeting place for the Sons of Liberty. Was it A, the Green Dragon, B, the Bell in Hand Tavern, C, the Black Rose, or D, Quincy Market? For those of you that are not from Boston, this could be a little challenging, but some of you are history buffs out there, so I didn't want to make it too easy. A couple of those public houses or bars on that slide there have quite a bit of history, but there's one in particular that was the secret meeting place for many of the Sons of Liberty. And Paul Revere, Sam Adams, John Hancock, they would all meet there regularly to talk over things over a pint. So we have 15 seconds remaining and 13 answers in. So looks like we're going to count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that is it. All right, and the correct answer is the Green Dragon. So the Green Dragon was originally, one of the only bars in Boston, and it was known to be a bit seedy at times, but that is where all the Sons of Liberty hung out because they knew that the British officers would not come around there looking for them so much. So they'd meet there, they'd have their secret meetings, and they could discuss what their next movements were. So in particular, they talked about the Tea Party there. They talked about a lot of different things that were actually going to take place that were catalysts to the American Revolution. So the Green Dragon, the original structure was torn down in 1836, but it has since been rebuilt. There's another bar there in its place, and it is called the Green Dragon. So if you're ever in the North End of Boston or in that government center district, that is in fact a great place to go visit, and it's quite historical. So highly recommend it. Come visit us. We're always happy to have tourists. And let's check out that leaderboard. All right, so Rain Man is still in first place. We got Jen right behind, trailing by 3 points, which is pretty crazy. All right, Jen, let's see how you make out this week. I am looking forward to quite the duel here. I think it's going to be a battle right to the end. So Death Star is in third place. D-Rock is in fourth place, and Elizabeth drops down to fifth. But keep up the great work. Up 3 places is Hoya Kane. She's the highest climber right now. So looks like everyone is neck and neck. Last week was quite, it was a real nail biter actually. The way that people were shifting from first place to second place, dropping down to fifth place. And I imagine that this week is going to be very similar. So let's have some fun and move on to that next question. All right, so question number 4. This cemetery serves as the final resting place for Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and Paul Revere. Was it A, King's Chapel Burying Ground, B, the Granary Burying Ground, C, the Central Burying Ground, or D, Copp's Hill Burying Ground? Now, all 4 of these cemeteries are located in Boston proper, and they all have famous people buried within them. But there's one in particular that is the final resting place for these 3 patriots. We got 30 seconds remaining and 13 answers in. All right, 20 seconds remaining. Get those last few answers in. Take all the time you need, but if you are still out there lingering, we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And your time is up. Let's see how we did. All right, so we got 5 with the correct answer. It was in fact the Granary Burying Ground. And the Granary Burying Ground, it's pretty impressive how many people are buried there. There's several of the Boston Massacre victims, including Crispus Attucks. If those of you that watched last week, if you learned a bit about him, he's buried there. But you have, so many notable people, in particular Ben Franklin's parents, but also, like I said, the 3 main patriots. You got Sam Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, and all of those you know, when you walk into that cemetery, I know that some people are not always interested by that sort of thing, but there's an immense amount of history, and you just feel this you know, this sense around you of just what's going on, and there's so much patriotism in the air because people are going there to visit and learn about these prominent figures from the birth of our country. So it's quite an interesting experience, and definitely worth checking out. So let's see how we did on the leaderboard. And we got, ooh, Jen jumps up to first place, and Hoya Kane right behind in second place. Rain Man drops down to third. Death Star is in fourth, and Crystal is in fifth. She's on the rise. So Maddie B is the highest climber right now. He's up 4 places. So welcome back, Maddie B. Looking forward to seeing how you do this year, or this week. And yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the next question here. All right, so referred to as the Cradle of Liberty, this was where Sam Adams made the proclamation to resist the intolerable acts. So was it A, Quincy Market, B, Faneuil Hall, C, the Old North Church, or D, the Old South Meeting House? For those of you that are familiar with Boston, I'll give you a little hint. There is in fact a statue of Sam Adams out in front of this building because he did several proclamations and often used this location as his podium for inspiring the revolution to begin. And Sam Adams, you know, just a great patriot, you know, one of our statesmen in the state of Massachusetts. He was the governor at one point as well. And obviously we all know that he was a brewer also. So we got 11 answers in. Looks like some people are struggling. We got about 10 seconds remaining. So get those last few answers in and let's see how we do. 12 answers, all right. And we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and your time is up. So we got 7 with the right answer, and it is in fact Faneuil Hall. So Faneuil Hall, you know, it stands in one of the most visited parts of Boston proper, of the city of Boston. It's right there near Quincy Market. At one point, Faneuil Hall was a marketplace itself, but it also became a meeting place. It became a theater at one point, and it is now the 4th most visited tourist site in the entire United States. So it's you know, it's really known as the cradle of you know, our liberty, and for that it's a great place to visit. Definitely worth checking out. So let's check out the leaderboard and see how we're doing. All right, so Jen locks it in. She takes a jump up there to 3806. Rain Man's right behind, about 1,000 points behind, and Crystal jumps up to 3rd place. So D-Rock is a climber as well. Hoya Kane, looks like you fell down a little bit, but Jen has the highest streak of 4. So let's keep that going, Jen. Let's see if you can walk away with the W today. And let's move on to the next question and see how we fare. So the first student protest in the U.S. took place at Harvard. What is it known as? Was it A, the Harvard Strikes, B, the Crimson Tides, C, the Butter Rebellion, or D, the Harvard Yard Massacre? So we got 3 answers in so far. All of these could be a little bit confusing, but there's one in particular answer that stands out as maybe a little quirky, and that is in fact the correct answer. So yes, this particular protest took place very early on, and in fact it was Henry David Thoreau, his grandfather, that was kind of known for leading this protest. Academia has always been a bit of a place for people to show you know, that, you know, to be activists and stand up for something that they believe in. And being that Harvard is the oldest college in the country, of course it only makes sense that they, you know, hosted the first student protest. So we got 8 answers that came back correct, and it is in fact the Butter Rebellion. So yes, the Butter Rebellion. So Harvard students in the 10 years leading up to the revolution, there was obviously an economic strain within Boston because of the tariffs and the taxes that the British had imposed upon the colonists. And so because of that, there was a food shortage, and there was in fact it was a very difficult task to get fresh food. And so one of the particular incidents that took place was they served rancid butter, and it's not very appetizing. Of course, the students didn't like it very much, and they created the Butter Rebellion, and they began protesting. So after that, conditions did improve slightly, but it wasn't for another 10 years where we earned our independence, and Harvard kind of became what we know it as today. So let's see how people did. Moving on to the leaderboard, we got Jen still up in first place, and Rain Man right behind, about 700 points back. So Crystal is in third, and we got Death Star and D-Rock. So up 6 places is Third J all the way. So good job, Third J all the way. Let's see if you can make it into those top 5. Jen, keep on locking it in there. You're doing great, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how we do. So with that being said, let's move on to the next question. All right, this uprising in Massachusetts served as a catalyst to ratify the Articles of Confederation in 1787. Was it A, the Shays Rebellion, B, the Whiskey Rebellion, C, Fry's Rebellion, or D, the Harper's Ferry Rebellion? So there's one particular answer that will stick out if those of you that are from this area should know. At one point, this rebellion attempted to take all the arms that were being manufactured in the Springfield Armory, and it was not quite successful, but we got 11 answers in with about 20 seconds remaining. So let's see how we do here, ladies and gentlemen. Get those last few answers in. Take a stab at it. We got 15 seconds remaining, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a countdown now with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, we got all the answers in. So we got 5 with the correct answer. So it was in fact Shay's Rebellion. So Shay, saw the need that after we gained our independence, there was still quite a few economic struggles that the people were experiencing here within New England. We were a new country. We were all struggling to get our start. And there were so many different things that Congress was having to handle at that time. So they had not yet ratified or amended the Articles of Confederation. And so it wasn't until the convention, the Constitutional Convention, that they sat down and actually wrote what we now still use to this day. So pretty incredible, and Shay's Rebellion did play a role in being the catalyst for that, because it was soon realized, okay, well, we can't have people, we can't have another uprising taking place. Let's go ahead and give the people what they want. So pretty awesome overall, and let's check out that leaderboard, see how we're doing. So we got Jen locks it in still in first place, and Rayman's staying in a close second. Crystal's still in third place. Death Star's in fourth, and we got P&M on the rise. So up 5 places is Maddie B. P&M, welcome to the leaderboard. You're in the top 5 there, so pretty impressive. Let's see if you can move up into those top 3 and get yourself a prize. So moving on, let's go ahead and look at the next question here. All right, it is believed that Paul Revere made his midnight ride on this truly American horse that was bred in Rhode Island. Was it A, the Narragansett Pacer, B, the Pawtucket Filly, C, the Morgan, or D, the Newport Neapolitan? So we got 3 answers in so far. The first breed of American horse was in fact bred in Rhode Island. So it only makes sense that Paul Revere used this horse, which is known to be pretty quick, to make his midnight ride. So I don't know about William Dawes, on the other hand. I don't know what he was riding, because as we have talked about in one of the episodes in the past, Paul Revere took all the notoriety for his midnight ride, even though Dawes was one of his partners. So With that being said, we got 10 seconds remaining. We got 12 answers in. So I'm going to give you a quick countdown starting at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, we got 3 with the right answer. So it is in fact the Narragansett Pacer, which is the oldest horse in the country that was actually an American bred horse. So the Morgan horse was bred in Springfield, Massachusetts, but not in Rhode Island. So that was your clue there, and everything else was just made up. So with that being said, yeah, I just thought it was pretty interesting. You know, that's a fast horse, and to think that, you know, Paul Revere used that horse as his steadfast, reliable horse to go and warn the colonists that the British were coming. I just thought that that was interesting. So let's go ahead and check out that leaderboard and move on to the next question. So we got Jen locked in still at first place, Death Star right behind, and he is creeping up quick with 40.78. So he just dethroned and knocked down Rain Man. Crystal is sticking it out, staying in that top 5 leaderboard, and Hoya Kane jumps back up to the 5th place marker. So Death Star has a streak with 3 correct answers in a row. So awesome job, Death Star. And let's go ahead and check out the next question. All right, this Austrian candy has a 4,000 square foot museum built at its U.S. headquarters in Orange, Connecticut. Was it A, Hershey's chocolate, B, Lifesavers, C, M&M's, or D, Pez? And we got 2 answers in so far. And we got 40 seconds remaining, so get those answers in. There's quite a few candies that are made in the New England area. You know, there's a couple throwaway questions or answers on there, and there's one that's there to throw you off. So we got 11 answers in, 25 seconds remaining, and yeah, if you ever get a chance to go down and visit Orange, Connecticut, this is probably the only and the largest tourist attraction to do there. But it is a nice little town, and there's some cool stuff if you are into that sort of thing, to go visit this candy museum. So we got 5 seconds remaining, so get those last few answers in. It is 3, 2, 1, and your time is up. And the correct answer, we got 8 with the correct answer, and the correct answer is Pez. So yes, Pez was an Austrian company that when they expanded, they came to Orange, Connecticut, and now you know, Pez, because of the fancy little dispensers that they have, has become one of the, you know, favorites across the world. So pretty tasty little treats. But if you ever get a chance to go down to Orange, you can see everything Pez. I mean, it's basically the world of Pez, and yeah, lot of stuff going on there. You'd be surprised how many different Pez dispensers have been made and how valuable some of those are as collectibles. So I just thought it was something I wanted to point out, being that, you know, it is another New England state, and that candy is pretty delicious. So let's check out the leaderboard and see how we're doing. So we got Jen still in first place. Awesome. And Death Star locks it in with the answer streak of 4, staying in second. Crystal moves up, knocking Rain Man down to 5th. And Elizabeth is now in the leaderboard. Great job, Elizabeth. She jumps up to 4th place. So let's see how we do. And with that being said, let's move on to the next question. And that is, Maine is the single largest producer of this berry in the United States. Is it A, cranberry, B, blackberry, C, blueberry, or D, mulberry? So we got 5 answers in so far, and 45 seconds remaining. So go ahead and get all those answers in. 10 answers. Oh, we're jumping up. I think a lot of people are going to get this one right. I hope. I want to see how we keep doing here with that leaderboard. People are just crushing it out there. So good old Maine produces a lot of different things, actually, but this particular berry, they produce the most in the United States, and then there's quite a bit of lobster too that is produced in Maine, and that might be a future trivia question, so I'm just giving you a slight hint. We got 10 seconds remaining, so I'm going to give you the quick countdown, and I think we'll go with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and your time is up. So we got all the answers in, and we got 8 with the correct answer, and it is in fact blueberry. So if you ever get a chance to come and visit us in Maine, which is where the New England Recruiting Battalion is headquartered, right there over the border in Kittery, you know, there's plenty of things to do. You know, beautiful beaches. It's vacation land, as they say, but we do have quite a few blueberries and some lobster. So with that being said, let's check out leaderboard and see how we're doing. All right, so Jen locks it in. She is about 1,000 points ahead of Death Star, who is in second place. Great job, Death Star. And Crystal keeps it locked in at third place. Elizabeth, way to see you sticking it out. You're in fourth place, and I'm hoping to see you jump up into the top 3. Hoya Kane jumps back up to 5th place. And Jen's making a comeback with 3 in a row. So good job, Jen. She took quite the lead there, but let's see how she does on these next few. Keep it coming. So with that being said, we're moving on to the next question. All right, during World War II, up to 90% of this corporation's work went to supporting the war effort at no charge to the United States government. Was it A, Hewlett-Packard, B, Chevron, C, Mattel, or D, the Walt Disney Company? So this is a California-based company. All 4 of those companies are in fact California-based companies, but this is one of those Army questions in our category for Army history that I thought was pretty interesting, and wanted to highlight that and give you all a chance to learn something about what exactly this company did and what this corporation did to help during World War II. So we got 10 answers in right now with about 30 seconds remaining. 12 answers, and let's see how we do here. We got 20 seconds remaining, so get those last couple answers in, and we can talk about what this company was and what they did. So looks like we have about 10 seconds remaining, so I'll go ahead and give you that countdown with 10. Oh, we got all the answers in. All right, so, and we got 3 with the correct answer. So no, it was not Chevron, but it was in fact the Walt Disney Company. So Walt Disney Studios, at that time, it was estimated about 90% of their work was being done for the United States Army. They were doing everything from making training films to inspirational and you know, inspiring and feel-good types of movies for U.S. soldiers to watch. They were documenting, they were doing everything. They even designed over 1,000 logos for different units and groups within the U.S. military. So some of those things that you see like painted on the sides of bombers and different things like that, those often were coming from Walt Disney, who was lending their artists to the military just to help support the war effort. And surprisingly enough, every Disney character was also used during the World War II. Obviously, you know, most known as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, but they made several appearances because US GIs, they loved them. You know, soldiers back at that time, they loved seeing some of their you know, favorite things from back home. And so it wasn't uncommon to run into a Mickey Mouse flick or a Mickey Mouse film being, you know, shown overseas when soldiers had some downtime during their rest and relaxation. So, all right, moving on. Let's see how we're doing in the leaderboard. And Jen keeps it locked in, but Death Star is making a quick climb, so he's not too far behind. Crystal, yeah, you're right there as well, only about 40 points back from Death Star. So I call middle, I think I know that name, just made a huge leap up. So, and Elizabeth drops down to 5th place. So wow, it is pretty impressive, but third J all the way just hit the answer streak of 3. So you guys are really crushing it. Keep up the great work, and let's go ahead and move on to the next question. All right, so this is the 12th question. How many 5-star generals have served in the U.S. Army? Was it A5, B4, C3, or D2? So this is a very uncommon rank. We haven't seen it in quite some time. There have been some higher star generals than this, but in this day and age, this is about the highest that you'll go, and we haven't seen this in quite some time, as I said. But there have been a number of 5-star generals that served across all of the branches of service, but obviously the Army, being the oldest and the largest branch of service, has the most. So with that being said, we got 12 answers in with 15 seconds remaining. So let's see if you can get those last few in, and we got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. All right, all the answers are in, and we got 5 people got the correct answer with 5. So there were, in fact, 5 5-star generals. And yeah, let me see if I can remember all of them. So we had Eisenhower, Bradley, Marshall, Arnold, and MacArthur. So yeah, so that's all 5 that served in the United States Army. Now, Arnold actually, even though he was originally an Army general, when the Air Force broke off, from the Army Air Corps and became their own branch of service, Arnold went with them. So he was the only 5-star general to have served in 2 different branches of service. So all of them were, around the World War II era. And yeah, just pretty interesting little fact there. It's not a common rank. You won't see it much more. But 5 stars, it's pretty prominent. So nowadays, most of the time we see 4-star generals is the highest rank that you'll go. So we have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that's General Mark Milley. He is from Boston, in fact, and he is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And then we have General McConville, who is also a 4-star general, and he's from Quincy, Massachusetts, and he is the Chief of Staff of the Army. So we have quite a few Bostonians that are making a tremendous impact within the United States military and the United States Army in particular, and we're very proud of them. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the leaderboard. And we got Jen still in first place. Death Star keeps it in second. Crystal's locked in at third. I Call Middle jumps up to fourth. She's definitely on the rise, and Hoya Kane's back up. So let's see how we're doing here. Hoya Kane was, the second place finisher last week, but I don't know if she's going to have what it takes to finish in the top 3 this week. So I'm looking to see if Elizabeth can make it back, and Maddie B's somewhere out there. D-Rock, definitely, all of you guys that are coming back to play, we're looking forward to seeing you guys. So let's move on to the next question. And this is question number 13. So this U.S. Army vehicle was the first mass-produced 4-wheel drive vehicle and remains popular still today. So was that A, the Hummer, B, Jeep, C, the Bronco, or D, the Land Cruiser? And we got 5 answers in so far. This vehicle during World War II was once considered by Eisenhower to be within the top 3 most useful weapons that the U.S. Army had. And that was because it would go just about anywhere. So, wow, okay, all the answers are in. And we got 13 with the correct answer, and it is in fact Jeep. So Jeep, yes, they got their start between the Willys Corporation and Ford, and then, Dodge even got in on it as well. But there was about 700,000 Jeeps produced throughout World War II, mostly, fielded by the United States Army and many of its allies, including the Russians, who were allies at that time. And the name Jeep actually, there's a couple conflicting stories, but more or less it's accepted that it comes from the fact that the abbreviation for the Jeep was GP, for General Purpose Vehicle. And so the GIs at the time, the soldiers at the time, they just shortened it to Jeep. And so hence, what we now know as a Jeep still continues, owned by the Chrysler Corporation. So great 4-wheel drive vehicles. They go all over the place. And yeah, pretty cool that they got their start with the United States Army and during such a large campaign across the entire world. And Jeeps held up. So always a reliable vehicle. Let's go ahead and check out that leaderboard. And we got the Death Star. Wow, Death Star jumps up to first place. Jen is not too far behind, so just about 31 points back. Let's see how she can do and if she can retake the lead. Crystal stays steady at third place. I Call Middle in fourth, and Hoya Kane still in fifth. So I imagine we'll see here in these last couple questions, it's going to get interesting because it is such, in fact, a very close game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the next question, and it is going to be question number 14. So in 2010, the U.S. military used 1,700 of these to build a more cost-effective supercomputer. Was it A, laptops, B, iMacs, C, PlayStation consoles, or D, tablets? So supercomputers, it's something that the Army has used for quite some time. They run a lot of different models and different types of programs, when we're wargaming or trying to figure out what the future might hold. So when they realized that they could build a more cost-effective and a much cheaper version of a supercomputer with something else that was commercially bought off the shelf, they went ahead and did that. So we got 11 answers in with about 20 seconds remaining. So get those last few answers in. Let's see how everyone does here. This is really going to be the make it or break it. All right, we got 12 answers correct on that one and 1 wrong. So I'm sorry to whomever got that one wrong, but it was in fact PlayStation consoles. And you know, for those of you that don't know, I wanted to throw this in there just because I thought it was an interesting fact. The U.S. Army has had such a close role with the gaming community from the start of it all, whether it was, you know, to literally a U.S. Army captain, Ralph Baer, creating the very first video game console back in the 1960s, to, you know, the development of the internet, which came about by the U.S. Department of Defense, and everything else in between. So we use a lot of different simulators. Gaming is very much intertwined into who we are and what we do. And for that, I thought it was an interesting question to throw out there. And for those of you that might be interested in that type of thing, we are hosting gaming tournaments right now. So we do have some Call of Duty, Fortnite, and some PUBG tournaments that will be coming up. If any of you have interest, go ahead and DM us, reach out to any of our social media platforms, and we'll be able to get back to you and give you some information on how to join us and play. But with that being said, we have 1 question remaining. So it is time. Let's go ahead and check out that leaderboard. Death Star keeps it locked in first place. Jen drops down to middle, or down to 3rd place, and Crystal moves up to 2nd. So I call middle staying steady in 4th, and Hoya Kane stays in 5th. So nice streak there, Death Star. You are going on 3 straight. So pretty impressive. Let's see here. It is going to come down to the wire. So it's literally just a few points off, almost 80 points. You know, it is really going to be coming down to the wire. So Jen, if you were quick on that trigger finger, you could easily jump back up into 1st or 2nd place. Death Star, Crystal, keep it up, and we'll see how you guys make out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the last and final question. So scientists at Eastman Kodak invented this by mistake when working for the U.S. Army during World War II. Was it A, super glue, B, duct tape, C, Velcro, or D, the microwave oven? And we got 2 answers in. People are going to fly on this one, I think, because if you've watched previous Trivia Tuesday episodes, I have hinted at this, what the correct answer would be. So yeah, Eastman Kodak, obviously we know them as more of a photography company. And with me being a photographer myself, I got a lot of love for the film and everything else that they used to produce. And actually, at one point, Kodak made U.S. Army issued cameras, you know, specific for soldiers. So wow, all right, we only got 2 there with the correct answer. So that is going to change things up quite a bit. And that was, I feel, going to be, it's going to make things really interesting here. So yeah, a little bit more about Eastman Kodak. They did a lot of aerial surveillance back in World War II, but even leading up to that, prior to in World War I, they actually went to the Army and said, hey, you know, we see a need for this, you know, do you have interest? And initially it was like, oh, we're not quite sure. And so the Army wasn't totally on board, but they gave it another go, and sure enough, the Army brought them back on, and aerial surveillance and reconnaissance became a thing, and now it's still used today. So Kodak was kind of at the forefront of that, but while trying to develop sights for U.S. Army rifles, they were trying to develop a composite sight. They accidentally came up with super glue, and they realized that there were several other uses that it could be used for. In fact, it's even been used within the Army to heal lacerations. So if you don't have stitches or anything else, you can actually use that to stick together a wound. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different uses that we have for it, but it is an everyday item that was brought to you by the United States Army. So with that being said, it is time to reveal the top 3 winners. So we have the leaderboard coming up now. In 3rd place, we got Jen, so she moved back into the top. That's awesome. And Crystal keeps it locked in at 2nd. And who is the 1st place winner? Death Star takes it home. So great job, Death Star. Runners up. Wow, I Call Middle was right behind, and Hoya Kane wasn't too far off too. So awesome job to everyone that played today. You guys did great. That is a close game, only about 80 points off, about 300 points back for Jen. I mean, she really almost clutched it in there. But yeah, so I hope you all had fun. As I said, so Death Star will be going home with a $20 Amazon gift card. So go ahead and reach out to us. You can either respond to the moderator right now in the comments, and you can exchange some contact information, or if you want to DM us, direct message us on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever it might be. We're out there, U.S. Army New England, and come check us out. Get us that information so we can get that gift card in the mail to you. And same goes for you, Crystal. Great job. I mean, you have been sticking with us from the start of all of this, and so to see you finish in the top 2, it's pretty awesome. You did win a few weeks back, so I'm glad to see you returning to victory. And Jen, great job climbing up, and hopefully next week you can come back and take home the gold. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. This is going to be our usual routine. Every Trivia Tuesday will be at 5 o'clock. So come back and join us again next week. Spread the word. Make sure you tell all your friends. Invite out as many people as possible. I mean, it's an opportunity to win some free money and have some fun and learn something. So grab a frosty beverage and kick back and play trivia with us because it's bound to be a good time. So once again, thank you, everyone. I am Sergeant First Class Justin Morelli, and I look forward to seeing you all tune in again next week. In the meanwhile, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.